Hello and welcome to my talk, Search Engine Optimization Tips. So thank you, I just want to say a big thank you actually to everyone who's been watching my talks. I have to admit I'm not sure which order they're coming in, so I've recorded all three in one evening. But I do want to say a huge thanks to the organisers for a 5-day event with so many talks, different topics, and for asking me to be here. It's absolutely fantastic. I am truly honoured, so thank you very much. So today I'm going to be talking about some of my favourite search engine optimization tips. It is going to be very fast, very whistle-stop tour. Search engine optimization is a huge part of any marketing strategy that you should have with your website, and indeed any marketing you're doing online. So I am just giving you some things to think about more than anything today. If you feel like search engine optimization is not your thing, or you have some more research to do, there are loads of tools and resources online. Definitely, go about and have a look. Hopefully you'll take away some things today, and hopefully they'll be of help to you. So very quickly, just so that you know what to expect today, I'm going to go through who am I, what is SEO, why is it important. I've got 2 slides for top tips, and then I'm going to touch very briefly on Google My Business and local SEO. So, who am I? My name is Kerry Ferguson. I run Gwir Cambrian Web with my partner Emlyn, who you can see on the bottom left there when we were on holiday last year. We are a bilingual website design and digital marketing company based in Aberystwyth, Mid Wales. So we specialise in bilingual websites primarily, and my passion is the social media side of things. So I love anything digital marketing. I also tend to concentrate more on the sort of customer client relations and that sort of thing. Basically, I like to talk and I like to get to know all of my clients, which is great. I absolutely love being my own boss for loads and loads of different reasons, but I also love working with small businesses because it's such a varied field. One day I can be talking to a beekeeper and the next day I'm talking to a hotel owner. So I absolutely love it. I absolutely just love what I do. So let's dive straight in because I'd like to try and keep this as short and sweet for you as possible. What is SEO? So SEO, or search engine optimization, is the process by which you can improve the visibility of your website in the search engines. But we don't know everything, so I wanted to get this over and done with straight away. We don't know everything. We don't know what the search engines are looking for. They don't tell us because, we're not playing a game anymore to be number one. We need to be number one on our own merits. So search engines like Google and Bing, there are plenty of others available. They don't tell us what exactly it is they rank us on. Now, we do have a good idea. Anyone within SEO, all the agencies that really focus on SEO, we've got a good idea about what helps us rank, but we don't know definitively what the percentages are. Does social media really help you and things like that? So we don't know everything, but we have a pretty good idea. So the different different search engines create their own algorithms or set of rules in which they can rank you. But these change all of the time. So this is a term years ago, we used to call black hat SEO tactics, where you would basically know that the more keywords you've got, the higher you're going to rank over your competition. It doesn't work like that anymore. You have to have quality content, you have to be providing for your audience, and there are so many different variables. That's what you're ranked on now. And because of people trying to get the game and sort of understand it and play about and abuse it, basically, this is why the algorithms are changing all the time, and they're becoming more and more clever. And the purpose of them is, as much as it might annoy us as website designers or website owners, the purpose of it is to create a good search platform for Google or Bing's users, aka your customers. So the happier they are with the search results, the happier Google or Bing will be. The more work we have to do to get those results, which is fine. So let's have a look. Why is SEO important? A few facts for you just to show the importance of it. 75% of users never search past the first page of the results. Guilty. 300% more traffic comes from search engines than social media, which It sounds like a lot, but when I looked at my own analytics, yeah, crazy. 87% of smartphone users perform a search on a search engine at least once a day. 70 to 80% of users ignore paid ads and go straight to organic results. We are so used to seeing those paid ads at the top of the search engines. A lot of people just scroll quite happily past them. And then 81% of buyers perform an online search before a large purchase, and even in store at the time. I've also done this. I've gone to a store or a shop, and I've thought, do you know what, I'm just going to have a quick look at what the reviews say. And I've done it there before I buy that item. So this is how important SEO is, because you want to be ranking for all these different things. Okay, so let's have a look at some top tips here. If you want these slides, please do let me know. I'll be chatting away in the comments below. But I have put them all there. I'm a note writer, so I know that I like to write notes. It's annoying when things show up one by one. So let's have a quick look then. So content is king, and fresh content is king as well. So we've already talked about the fact that the search engines want you now to create quality content for your audience. The more quality it is, the more longer your audience will spend there, the more they'll engage with you, the more they'll convert with you. And Google and Bing and other search engines, they can see that. They can see that that's happening, and you'll get ranked higher for it. So when it comes to content, you need to think about three different things. You need to think about your expertise, authority, and trust. And this is something that actually came out in an algorithm update a couple of years ago with Google, where they concentrated on these three things. So expertise, authority, and trust. So you need to create content that shows those things. So it could be things like useful articles, helpful information, FAQs, linking to authority sources, that sort of thing. When I say fresh content, what I mean is on a website generally you will have two types of pages and content sections. So you'll have static pages where the information is pretty much the same all year round, it's not really going to change. And then you'll have another section, perhaps a blog or a news archive, maybe webinars, events, where the information is changing often, so that's referred to as fresh content. And when it comes to SEO, you want to make sure that you actually have fresh content on your website. Again, it's a little bit like social media. You don't need to be doing this all the time. Consistency is key. So if you're blogging once a month, that's fine. Google will see that you're doing that. You're putting in that time and effort to your website. You're showing an interest in your audience by doing that once a month as well. Other people, if you've got enough to talk about and you've got the time and you like writing, once a week, once a fortnight, whatever works for you. Just remember to be consistent. Number 2, use header tags. Now, if you don't know what a header tag is, because I am going through this very quickly, I would recommend you do a quick Google search or a Bing search and just familiarise yourself with the terms of what a header tag is. So this basically comes down to showing Google what important titles are going on in your page, and it is hierarchical. So your page title will always be a H1 tag. And then below that, if you're writing a blog, you'd have your introduction, and then you might have another title where you're formatting the blog into different sections, and that should be a H2. Now below that, if you've got a conclusion, that would maybe be a H3, but if you've got another section to your blog, that might be another H2. It's at the same importance as the other information, and you're telling Google that. So, like I said, if you're not aware of the header tags, I would definitely do a little bit of research on it and make sure that you've got yours set up correctly on each page. One thing don't do is don't skip the tag. So don't go from H1 to H4. You have to keep that hierarchy. Number 3, increase the relevant links to your website. So think of it as if you are building a network of relationships on the web. You want to have people linking to you, and you want to be linking to other people as well, but you have to make sure they're relevant, and ideally you want to make sure that the other websites are authoritative as well. So avoid anything that's like a link selling thing. That won't do your website any good. In fact, it'll probably do you some harm. But if you've got guest bloggers, or if you're guest blogging, try and get a link set up where, they're happy to put a link to your website and you can put a link to theirs. And it will just help you build this little network and hopefully help with your ranking as well. Remember, best marketing is co-marketing. And I think personally, definitely over the last few months with this pandemic, that has proven itself many, many times. Number 4, internal linking on your website. So this helps in terms of creating like a really good site map or site network throughout your website. So an internal link might be, if you're writing in a blog, if you have any questions, please get in touch. And you link that then to your contact page. So you're being helpful, you're showing the search engines that you're being helpful by directing people to the correct places, but you're also building this little network within your website as well. Number 5, a very important one for 2 reasons. So adding alt tags and descriptions to images. So first of all, search engines can't actually read an image. So let's say you've got a picture of a flower. Google doesn't know that that is a flower, so you need to tell it that it is. So an alt tag and a description will tell Google what it is. In some websites, depending what platform you're using, they will prompt you to sort of as to how you will explain it. So I know on WordPress, it will say, explain why you've put this picture here and how it helps the content. Because then Google can see that you've put this picture here to help the content because you're talking about drying flowers in a blog, for example. The second reason this is really important is down to accessibility, which is quite rightly, and I'm surprised it's taken so long, it's becoming a big thing right now, and especially on social media. I know here in the UK, in the public sector, councils, community councils and things like that, there's actually a deadline for getting websites accessible. And what I mean by accessible is that if you've got someone who's got impaired vision or, colour blindness, contrast issues, things like that, they can still read the website and get the same experience from it based on these alt tags and how their computer is communicating that information to them. So that's a really important one to bear in mind, and it does help with your SEO. Number 6, use bullet points, but not too much. So Google, as we've already said, Google, Bing and other search engines, they like content and they want you to be providing quality content to your customers. However, you have to also format that content in a way that they understand what it is, they understand what it's trying to say. So we've talked about the hierarchy of the header tags. But by putting things in bullet points, you're basically saying, now look here, search engine, this is the most important information of my whole blog. But don't do it too much. So it's basically highlighting things as to be more important to them, which is great in terms of if you are doing a blog post, 7 top tips, you can do a nice introduction, bullet point your top tips, and then a conclusion at the end. And you're just showing that hierarchy and the importance of different sections to the search engines. And then number 7 on this first slide here, embolden your important words. It actually carries a little bit more weight, but also, even if it had no SEO effect whatsoever, it also just shows the more important parts of your text to your customers that are reading it, especially if you've got long text, a long piece of content. They can just pick out those words. People do just glance over things now. We scan things very quickly as humans. We have a small attention span. So if you've got emboldening these words, you're just kind of trying to get those important points out to people as well. So hopefully there were some things there that were of use to you guys. So my second slide was some top tips. Use interesting meta descriptions. So this sort of links back to what we were talking about with the images earlier, but you can do this on pages as well. You've got your meta descriptions. So if you're coming up in a Google search, if you've got a really good, interesting description that actually describes what that page is about and what its purpose is, people will click onto it and hopefully that will help. But also with the images as well, a very important thing to do. Number 2, make sure you have an about page. Now Google does love an about page, but also it's about informing your customers who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. I get a lot of clients who, I think it comes down to confidence in writing. They don't know what to put there and they don't want to do it, but it's so important for SEO and it's also important for your customers. So if you're not comfortable writing or you don't know what to say, ask your friends, ask your business colleagues what they would put in it, because I guarantee they've gone through the same thing. Number 3, an important one, is to make sure that your contact information is up to date, but also to make sure that the same contact information runs through on any social media platforms you're on, or any other websites that maybe you're advertising with. So Google will actually, it crawls the internet all the time, and it will be able to put these things together, and it'll be able to see, okay, Cambrian Web's phone number is, what it says on the bottom of the slide there. But if it sees a different digit somewhere else, it will basically decide that information on that website is incorrect based on that one contact piece of information being wrong. So it's really important to make sure that you've got the same information in different places so that Google can build up, in a way, an authority on you. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Number 4, encourage reviews, especially on Google if you can. Super important, and I've mentioned it in a different talk, but actually Google pulls through from social media as well, so it'll pull through your Facebook reviews. So if you can, work on getting those reviews, that's really important for you. Number 5, a top tip then, to write down your keywords and phrases and actually plan around these. So one of the things that I do, obviously you can't just drop in keywords and phrases all over the place like you used to be able to. You've got to work it into your quality content. And one of the things that I do is I'll think, right, what do I want to concentrate on in terms of SEO over the next 6 months? And I'll try and write blog pieces around that. So for example, on our website, spanning now the last 6 years, we've got, I think, maybe 7 or 8 different articles about SEO. Because I want people who are searching for it in my area to find us and to come to us as a source of expertise about SEO. Number 6, review often. So by this I mean actually review your website, review your social media, make sure all the information is linked up, it's all the same. You're consistent across everywhere that you are on social media. I keep saying social media. You're consistent across everywhere you are on the internet. And also review your keywords and your key phrases often. What you were trying to aim for 2 years ago might be very different now. But also terms change as well. I wouldn't have called a personal brand 2 or 3 years ago, but it is now. And if that's who I'm targeting in terms of consultancy or something like that, then I need to make sure I tweak that when it comes to my content as well. And number 7, but I'm going to go on to the next slide. So my final top tip for your search engine optimization is Google My Business. So Google My Business is a free tool from Google, free, and it controls the information that they understand about your business. So you basically are setting up, I don't really want to say a social media platform because it isn't really, but you set up your account and you can input all this information about your business, and that's what Google comes to understand. So you can put in your logo, photos, opening hours, contact details, information. You can post to it. You could do it once a day, once a month, whatever you wanted. What I would say is maybe don't put in too much energy to posting onto Google My Business. Just do it frequently enough that anyone searching for you can see that you're there. Ensure that all the information is up to date. This links back to what I said on the previous slide, especially the website address and the contact information. It just helps build that authority sort of arena for you on Google. And it is a super important aspect of Google when it comes to SEO. It's available for anyone with bricks and mortar shop, but it's also available for online businesses, which is really important. So if people are searching for you, you'll show up straight away in that panel on the right hand side. But if people are searching for you in a local capacity, which I'll talk about in a minute, you'll show up on the map as well. And it's also a great way of keeping your business information up to date for your potential visitors. Now, a brilliant example of this, much to my frustration, I've relied on Google My Business listings to tell me about latest opening times during coronavirus. And a few times I've gone to shops here that are closed because they haven't updated their information. That's frustrating. But if they'd updated their information, I would have known that they're now not open on a Monday or a Wednesday or whatever day it is. So it's important to keep that information up to date. What I will say about Google My Business is I have been to a few talks about it, and they've lasted much longer than I have on talking about it. It is a big resource that you should definitely use if you've got a website or if you've got a shop and you're using online marketing. Again, spend some time researching this, looking into what will work on it well for you, how to optimize your profile on there and how to get the most out of it, because I have just gone through that super fast. If you need some recommendations on who to look out for help on this, let me know. I've got a few contacts in my network that I can definitely put you forward to. And then I'm also just going to talk very, very briefly about local SEO as well. So this kind of links into what I was saying with Google My Business. Local SEO is growing in importance. So 36% of searches online have a local intent. So that is things like coffee shops near me. And you'll notice when you are doing a search on Google or other search engines, quite often you can start typing and it will say near me. 72% of searches visit a shop within a 5-mile radius of their search. And I do this all the time. If I'm in a new city or, anywhere, I'll do a search and be, all right, they're just around the corner, and off I'll go. Or, I'll pop in the car, whatever. So it's really important. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, if people are searching, for example, website designers in Aberystwyth, we'll come up on the map because we have a Google My Business listing. So people will be able to open that map and they'll see all the different website designers in the area, and hopefully they'll pop their heads into our door. You never know. So local results are based on the relevance, distance and prominence, which are 3 sort of key important things when you are looking at these different things when it comes to your Google My Business. I would, again, definitely recommend, if you have got a bricks and mortar shop or you're online like us, you have to look at Google My Business as an avenue to help improve your SEO, and bear in mind this local SEO aspect as well. So, if you are definitely a bricks and mortar shop, then this is important. 72% of searches visit a shop within a 5-mile radius. So you have to make sure that information online about you is available and it's up to date. And that is it. So thank you very much for joining in my talk. You can find me online either at the company, Gwe Cambrian Web, or Kerry GCW. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. Sorry it was such a whistle-stop tour, but I just wanted to get across my top tips for SEO and how you can sort of implement that on your own websites. It's a huge, huge field. It's constantly changing. Hopefully you'll just get a little bit of an idea as to what you can do to get started. If you want any more advice or any help, please feel free to get in touch. I'd be happy to help you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.